Hello everybody. I am going to show you a program that I have needed for a long time called Hashify. So the problem I'm trying to solve here is frequently when you download files from the internet, sometimes they will give you the checksum of a file, or you'll download data and you'll get these checksums when they're typically a cryptographic hash or a CRC that comes. With Bitcoin, you're asked to enter your keys, which are basically a hash of a key, of the public key or the public key in raw bytes. So anyway, the biggest hurdle I encounter is many of the standard tools that come on Linux or Mac or Windows will typically say I have to provide a whole bunch of flags, and if I want to check something, I have to know what certain things are ahead of time, or if I want to generate something and then I send it to someone else, sometimes they don't have a tool that is compatible with that. And I will sometimes need to check web forms for different data to verify that they are correct, and for debugging purposes or system administration, whatever. So in my explanation, I list out some Linux tools and some Windows PowerShell commands that are typically used, but frequently just get in the way. So I wanted just a single tool that I could use to just do everything for me. And so I wrote Hashify. So Hashify is meant to either create or verify any checksum for a lot of algorithms that are common, and it can do it in big Indian format, little Indian, and any encoding format, any of the most popular encoding formats that exist on the web today. So let me show you. Here's a list of all of the hash algorithms that it supports. Some of them are there for legacy reasons, not necessarily because they're secure. And I also offer encoding types where in some situations I just want the raw bytes, and then for fun, just to verify the binary bits, I included binary. And sometimes I need base 10 or decimal, but otherwise the most common ones are the hex and base 64, and sometimes base 58 for Bitcoin or other blockchain based verification like Sovereign or Ripple, what have you. So anyway, the goal of this tool is to also make it easier on other DevOps or system administrators, such that they can use Hashify to create any hash they want. And also, if they're given a hash, and some of them may not understand what these different options are, maybe they should, but they don't necessarily know which one to use, what given a certain length, and so they sit at the screen and stare at it trying to figure out which one it is. So this tool is meant to simplify that and take a lot of that information out of the equation and just solve the problem for them. So they can run Hashify on given any checksum and data, and it will try to figure out which one it was given certain things. So here's my README that explains if I wanted to create a checksum for the Python 3 binary. But really, Hashify can take anything from a file to just raw text, or even read from standard in. So in this case, I'm passing it a file name, and if the file name doesn't happen to be a file, Hashify checks to see if it is a file. If it's not a file, it just assumes you type that as text, and it will just hash that directly. So anyway, in this case, I said, Hashify, I want you to create a checksum of Python 3. And what it did by default is it spit out every 256-bit digest that it knows about in lower hexamal, and it tells you which one it picked, which one belongs to what, and the default is big Indian and lowercase hexamal, decimal, hexadecimal, because That is what the FIPS 180 requires, 180-4. So anyway, but you may not necessarily want all of that all the time, and so you can pick any number of encodings, and from 1 to all of them if you wanted. If you really wanted that many digests, you could spit that many out for big and little endian and in every format, and you would get a lot of output, and I will show you what that looks like here in a minute. But for the most part, you can pick the 1 or 2 that you most commonly need, and Hashify will just dump it out, as well as you don't even have to specify what you're feeding it. Hashify just takes care of the guesswork for you. So in this case, where I took the digest from the SHA-256 output from Python 3, I just fed Hashify. I said, I want you to verify that this this checksum for Python 3 will succeed. And so it tries a bunch of them, and it comes back with, oh, SHA-256 and big endian hex is what I found to pass. And by default, that's all it will tell you. You can make it a little more verbose to say, here's all the ones it did try. So it tried all of these other ones, like you notice it tried it in little endian and hex, it tried it in big endian and base 64, because, you know, the checksum was long enough to pass. So anyway, it tried a bunch of these. It even tried it in 384 and base 64 hexadecimal characters or valid base 64 characters, which is why you see that there. So anyway, if you don't want Hexify to try and do some guesswork and you want to give it some hints, what you can say, I already know that the format is hex, so just skip trying to guess what base 64 or base 64 URL or whatever format it does, and then it reduces the amount of tries that it had to do. But at the same time, Hexify is quite fast, and I'll show you how that works. So from the command line, here's how you can run it. So if you git clone this project, and I include how to do this from source, here it is. Hashify is a Rust project. I love to code in Rust, so let me show you how to build it. So if you git clone this and follow those instructions, you can build the code just like this. And forgive if my internet is a little slow, but it will go quickly, I promise. Rust is quite fast. It compiles to native code, and my average experience is Rust is just as fast or sometimes faster than C, and without all the headaches. So here it's downloading every dependency and compiling them, and when it's done, I will have a single binary with no external dependencies that I can use to then check the hash of anything that I want to check or create a checksum for. So, and Hashify also tries to be as helpful as possible by giving you hints if you screw up with a command or a parameter. So it's so you don't have to worry about it. So let me go to where Hashify was built, and then I can use it. So it should be, sorry, I'm on, okay, there we go. So now I should be able to Hashify anything. So, let's go into my documents folder and see. I have lots of files here. So let's just pick one, like a big long PDF here. Let's pick this one. I don't remember what it is, but now you notice I didn't tell it which one to should I create or verify it. It didn't know what it was, and so it goes, huh, well, I'm expecting you to tell me what to do. So now let's say I tell it not to do anything, and I just run the command. It says, well, you need to tell me whether I need to create a hash or verify one. So in my case, I'm creating one because I don't have any yet. And here you can see it created the 4 hashes, but let's say I wanted to focus on just one. I only care about the CSC842. Therefore it gave me a big long one, which was really nice. Or I want to add the Blake 2 family, and there we go. And now let's say I want to change, I mentioned how I could change the encoding. I want it in upper hex, and I want base 64 URL because that's what most applications tend to support. Okay, great. So it gave it to me in both of them. And let's see if I were to just give it this, which is the SHA-3512 and base 64. Let's say if I told Hashify I want you to verify that this hash, that this is the hash of this document. Notice I didn't tell it which one to try, it just figured it out. Now if I wanted to know which ones it tried, I can tell it to be verbose, and it will. It'll say, well, these are all the ones I tried, and the very first one is what I found to succeed. Now, let's say I wanted to create one. Let me simplify it and just leave it as base 64 URL, so that's one of the shorter hash lengths. And let's try MD5. You'll notice that it's in red, meaning you shouldn't use this because it's not cryptographically secure, but I'll tolerate it for now because it's you know, a lot of legacy applications use that. So let's see if it can figure it out. It should be able to. And oh, you thought the dash was a flag, so I need to wrap this in quotes. Still thinks it's a flag. Anyway, I'll have to figure that out later, but anyway, you get the idea. That, and if I wanted to, I could also let's do those again. Let's just do base 64 so we don't have to worry about the dash. Okay. Now if I wanted, I could also feed this from standard input as well, either by using the dash flag or nothing at all, or I could just use the arrow redirection and it should work. There we go. Now this can read it from standard input, so I could do it like this as well and it would still pass. So anyway, hope Hashify is appealing to the rest of you, and see what you think of it. And go ahead and try it out and let me know if there's any problems, and look forward to your feedback. Thank you.